I had a mentor tell me it was when I just was so overwhelmed with how many animals needed to be taken care of. It's kind of like a saying of animal rescue is like emptying the ocean one teaspoon at a time.
Yeah.
And he said, you're thinking about these millions and millions of animals, but you need to, you matter to the one right in front of you.
Hmm.
Right. You're helping right now. He just said that one thing. And I looked at every animal from then on and said, I'm all you got. So I'm going to treat you like gold. And that's just how I made it through.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the House Call Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge house call veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by house call and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode.
All right, everyone. Today, I'd like to introduce Karen Scherrer, RVT. Hi. Is the wife of Dr. Bill Scherrer, who we interviewed just a few weeks ago. So I'm super excited to have full circle here. Karen has been a registered veterinary technician for exactly 22 years this month. Ironically, she's officially retiring after spending the past 10 years of focused effort for supposed major animal welfare organizations, as she's been consistently disappointed in the real-life scenarios that have played out behind the scenes. I totally get that. And most recently, following her experience helping to rescue a historic retrieval of 4,000 beagles from a research breeding compound. She's worked in every aspect of veterinary medicine imaginable, from the now closed wildlife waste station feeding donuts to bears, tube feeding newborn squirrels, and restraining caymans, while doctors searched for a vein, all the way to high kill shelters. She's also worked in zoos, small animal hospitals, equine rescues, mobile medicine, and traveling to multiple separate catastrophic events to work for animals and animal welfare. Within 1 year, she practiced along a spectrum from living in a tent following Hurricane Katrina, opening makeshift shelters at abandoned senior centers in Louisiana parishes, all the way to scrubbing in on neurosurgery cases and traveling to perform anesthesia and general practices as a mobile surgery technician with a board-certified surgeon. Hands down, her favorite area of practice has been the LA Zoo. She is, as I mentioned, married to a board-certified small animal surgeon who she met while working as a mobile technician, and even behind the mask and cap, he still called her. Bill and Karen have a 15-year-old daughter at the time of this recording, and 2 angelic golden retrievers. They live in Carlsbad, California. Welcome, Karen. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm really happy to be here. Really.
Yay! Me too. So I'm going to start out how I always start out. Can you tell me what's your favorite snack to eat when you're on the road?
For sure, saltines. Whenever somebody else drives, I am Bertie. So, and I know how messy they are. And I realize that you can't shut the container. I don't know what's taken them so long to just put a little zip thing on the saltines, but I always have saltines.
That's awesome. That's a very real problem that you can't close them. Like, I had COVID a little over a month ago and I was eating saltines like nonstop. And like, there's literally still crumbs all over my whole freaking apartment because you can't close those suckers. So it's real.
What do you ever do with that half pack that it seems so wasteful to throw away all of those crackers, but I mean, they're gonna be soggy in a couple weeks, so I think it's all a plan.
Just because to buy more saltines.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's the first time anyone has mentioned saltines. Thank you for that. And so you've been a mobile vet technician in multiple contexts now. Like you've been an RVT for house call practice, you've been a mobile RVT for surgical practices, neurosurgery. How did you get into, or I guess probably over various times in your life, it sort of came up, but how did you get into like mobile practice? Like how did that sort of arise in your life?
I was working at a huge hospital in Northern California, and we had 15 veterinarians. It's where I met Bill.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't a specialty hospital. It's just a small animal, but they had a pet store and boarding all connected. And I did overnight and I was the only one. And so we had 3 surgery suites and the techs and the doctors, even though I made sure that there were always 2 trash cans in there, they just couldn't make that 4x4 get in the can.
Oh, God.
My very, very last day, I took pictures of the suites because it looked like a dog had exploded in each suite. And then I would have 60 to 70 patients by myself. And this is the last night. I had a really, really, really aggressive Rottweiler, and he had chewed out his catheter. And I was so just completely overwhelmed. And I didn't know this at the time, but I put the catheter in backwards because I was, falling asleep. I mean, we needed at least 2, maybe 3 more people.
Yeah.
And I was on my way home. I got off at 8. The doctors and I did the rounds, and I told everybody how they did. And then I had to have the suites all set up according to what surgery was going to happen. And so I got done with that, and I'm driving home to my apartment, and I'm completely head nodding, just totally head nodding. And I thought, and I was in really bad traffic, and I thought, I am going to kill somebody. I know I am. So I pulled over and fell asleep in the back of my Tahoe, and like the CIA, the FBI had showed up. I had parked in Moffett Field, and I didn't know that was, like government. And I had a Great Dane that went everywhere with me. So he's like, run, run, run. They draw their guns, and I'm not a terrorist. I'm just way too tired. I'm a vet tech. Look at me. And they said, you just have to go. And so I put in my notice, and they said, no, 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 no. You're too valuable. We don't want you to quit. We're going to make a position for you. So you're going to be the new technician, pet food store, boarding. Oh, and we did reproduction medicine. You're going to be the liaison.
Liaison.
And I had no idea what I was doing. They just made this position just to keep me there. And I had no clue what to do. I mean, I wasn't practicing, and I was looking at dentals going, let me in that. And I had to stop. I said, this is dumb. I'm not even using any of my knowledge. This is so, so dumb. So I quit and I went home and I was laying on the couch and I had just got dumped. Severely dumped. I mean, dumped. Where like, I'll call you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I was laying on the couch, so depressed. Woe is me, just eating ice cream. And my mom came over and she said, you're depressed? Do you know what depression is? Turn on the TV. So we turned it on and there was these dogs on houses and it was Hurricane Katrina. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go there. So I went there for a couple months, life changing, came back, and I thought, I have seen too much. Like, I didn't want to go back into a hospital.
Yeah.
And I had my mentor at the time, who was the owner of a big hospital. He said, there is a mobile vet looking for a tent. And we hit it off. It was perfect. I wasn't in a brick and mortar. I was in the car. She got me so car sick. We,
Saltines.
yeah. We had a sign on the side that said, mobile veterinary, and we just kept getting broken into. I guess they were looking for ketamine. That was a biggie. So we had to stay really, really on the DL. And she finally ended up letting me drive because she was the kind of person that like put the brakes on all the time. But it was really, really, really nice. It was perfect timing. It was perfect until it wasn't.
Okay, can I hear about that? I'm really curious to hear. That sounds like an interesting story.
Well, I never, ever, 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 never even thought about wanting to be a veterinarian. It never, ever crossed my mind. Never. And I would say 98% of the time that we would go into a house, someone would say, oh, how cute. Are you training to be a veterinarian? And that put a lot of doubt in me. I thought, am, am I not good enough? What I'm doing? This not, okay. And she did not have any children. And she was making a killing. We charged so much, so much. And even if we were just down the block, she would charge the whole amount. And so she went on vacation a lot, a good part of the year. Her favorite destination was Hawaii. And we became more friends than we were coworkers. And so she was constantly forgetting to pay me.
Oh,
Like constantly.
ooh.
So I was paying my rent with, do you remember where you get your credit card statement and then they would have 2 checks on the bottom of the statement that you could write checks for the credit card? So I was paying my rent with credit card checks because I would say, you haven't paid me in 3 months. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I'll get to it. But the bigger issue was the clients that she had never met, they thought I was a vet.
What?
I played vet
Oh my God.
more often than not. And so everybody got cloud marks. Everybody. It was cloud marks for everybody.
Oh my God.
And also, she was really insistent on heartworm and fecals. And we tossed all of those samples. And then the other thing was I had a Tahoe, and when we would euthanize, we would take the bodies, and I lived on a 3-story apartment building. So it would be, the crematorium would be closed. So I would wake up the next morning and say, oh my God, my whole truck is full of dogs.
Oh
And
my God. Oh my God.
there was a weekend I forgot.
Oh no. Oh, that's awful. Oh, that is like
So
over the top insane. That's insane. When
when
was
I
this? Like,
when I met Bill, I was telling him, like, how was your day? And I didn't, I thought he would be kind of depressed that, oh, well, she can play a vet on TV. And she was hor- just, we were taking skin samples and tossing them.
Like biopsies and
Yeah.
cultures and stuff? Oh my God. Why? Oh my God. So where were the results, the alleged results coming from?
What do you mean? We
Like,
would charge the owner.
you would charge the owner, and then what results were they given? That it
Oh, everything's fine.
Oh
Everything.
my God.
Here's your clavamox.
That is mortifying. So
Oh,
wait.
do you have diarrhea? How about this? Here's your Reglan.
Oh. No. So this was like 15 years ago or more?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, way before I knew any better. I mean, the first hospital I ever worked at, I had a veterinarian that had the worst temper. And I was restraining a Westie for a Scherrer eye test. So we had to be really, really, really still. And he was,
Wiggling.
and he said, I told you to hold it. And he had to have a bilateral FHO. And he popped both of his hips out just completely. And that same week,
Because the surgeon, I wasn't the surgeon, but the vet that you were working with,
yeah, he said, I told her that hold it.
and he pushed
And
him down, and he had bilateral hip lock.
they
Oh
went,
my God. Holy shit.
and the dog was screaming. And so I was like, oh, just be quiet, just be quiet. And then a week later, he was with a really, really good girlfriend of mine, Erin. They were doing a bandage change on a chocolate lab, and the chocolate lab was, a chocolate lab.
Yeah.
And he picked up the chocolate lab and threw it across the room and broke my girlfriend's leg. The dog was fine, but she broke her leg. And so he went on leave for about 2 days for anger management. 2 days.
2 days, that's it?
Yeah.
I'll be asking you who these people are after this episode. I know you can't talk about it on the air, but holy mother, like, you've seen some real shit.
So when I told Bill what was going on with the mobile, he was furious.
Yeah, no shit.
Now
Now you know, yeah.
I know, but at the time, I was like, "What's wrong?"
You were
Now,
not.
we obviously don't have heartworm here. She told me it didn't look like a mast cell tumor. She knows, right?
Right. That's crazy. That is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me, that story of yours. And I mean, it sounds like 15 to 20 years ago. And when I first became a house call vet, I was concerned that people would see me like that, like some hokey lunatic showing up at people's homes, doing fake biopsies and throwing them in garbage. I was like, that's what people think a house call vet is. And it's like, you found a real doozy. Like, you found some crazy malpractice. Like, your stories are off the wall. And like,
I told you this much.
yeah, I know there's more where that came from. I have no doubt. And we will continue this conversation. But
I mean, she's a nice lady.
just a few screws loose or something like that.
Like, the good part of me wants to think that she had a lot of trust in me, no, it was wrong.
It was wrong. She was kind of taking advantage of your naivety at the time. Like, you're obviously not naive anymore. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I would never,
course.
never. I mean, I would go directly to the board,
right,
reporter, like yesterday.
right.
But so much time has passed. I have no proof that she's still doing that. I didn't lose any animals, but and then towards the end, it was not only that she wasn't at all paying me.
That's unacceptable.
I was euthanizing hundreds of animals alone.
Oh.
And that was really hard because I had to read the room as soon as we drove up, like sometimes the dog would be totally healthy and, oh, it's just peeing in the house. How do I make that call?
Right.
Like
You
how
to make that call.
how on earth did I make that call? It was impossible. And she was always in Hawaii, so she's, she'd leave her phone in her room. And then I would drive up and there would be a golden retriever that is missing its entire mandible from oral cancer. And a woman just saying, do you think it's too early? I wasn't trained for that at all. So
Can I just say that is fucked up? That is fucked up. Like fucked up. I can't even.
well, it was super hard to make those calls. I mean, I
Like,
called my mom,
Yeah.
who's a secretary. Okay.
Yeah.
Mom, should I euthanize this dog in the house?
Oh, that's not fair.
I was hospitalized 4 times from cat bites, from reaching under beds, and just getting completely destroyed. And, hey, I think I have cellulitis again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is horrific.
People, if you're watching this, put the cat in the bathroom.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Yeah. Holy shit. This is like above and beyond any story I expected here. And I'm blown away. And like, thank God, like, that you told Bill these stories and he was able to like kind of intervene and like give you some perspective. Like, this is not normal. This is not okay.
But I mean, I didn't realize why he was doing that.
How could you? No one could blame you. Like,
And then I look back at how much school and education and reading. I mean, I did this much.
mm-hmm.
You guys did this much.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she's thinking. I don't know. And then
Psycho. That's what she was. She wasn't thinking like, I'm so angry for you. Oh my God.
and I was very, very, very reluctant to leave because I tried to quit and she just did anything she could do to keep me. Just anything. And now I know why.
No one else would have tolerated that. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I know why.
Mhm.
But yeah, she made it really, 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 really hard. I can't remember the name of the company, and I don't actually even know if they are still in business. But in the transition of quitting, I started working it was kind of like it was temp jobs, but it was only for veterinarians and vet techs. And so whenever they were short vet tech, I filled in. And so they let you put like, how far will you travel? 60 miles. What are your hours? What are your skills? So I started doing that. And do you know of that company? If that's still.
There's a number of companies that are like that.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
I'm not sure which one it was, but
It had a catchy name, but they were really organized. Really organized.
Cool.
Yeah. So I got to see a lot of hospitals and I found this one hospital that I liked a lot. And I decided that I was going to exclusively just fill in for them because they could not keep a technician to save their lives. And I just had never seen such turnover in my whole life. And I thought, he seems so nice. But
Things aren't nice as they seem, huh?
yeah, what's wrong with him? I don't understand. I know you just hired somebody. She was there for like 48 hours and she's gone.
So what happened? What was the cause?
And the pay. Oh my gosh. The pay was probably $10 an hour more than anywhere I've ever worked except for overnights. It was so much.
So what was the problem?
So I get there the first day and he goes, the Sharpies are color coded. And threw the Sharpies across the room. And earlier that day, I took a litter of kittens that he was fostering because I love bottle babies. Love. And I'm probably like 0.0001% that will get up in the middle of the night and bottle.
Yeah.
So I had just taken them home and I just watched day after day this man that was, I mean, I thought, am I being punked? I couldn't believe that a doctor could act like that. So I said, listen, Karen, you are going to give it 30 days. You can do anything for 30 days.
Mhm.
And for 30 days, he was, oh my gosh, so crazy. But he was nice to clients, just really, really cuckoo. So at the end, I gave him my notice and he said, well, I don't want to pay you. I'm not going to pay you.
What is wrong with these people? Oh my God.
And I said, what? You know, what? I had just given my 2 weeks and he said, well, you can leave now and I'm not paying you for the last pay period, which had been 2 weeks exactly.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. And so I went home and I thought, what can I do about this? And so he calls me again and he said, by the way, I'm coming to pick up my kittens because he was fostering them. Well, I was for a very, very famous organization. And so it would have been really bad if these 6 kittens had just disappeared.
Right.
So I said, you want your kittens? Give me my paycheck.
Good job. Good girl. There you go.
We ended up in court.
Did you really?
That is how far we had to take it.
Holy shit.
Yes. And not only did I get paid, but in California, they have to pay you, I think, your wage, or it might be a set amount for each day that he didn't pay me.
Nice.
The worst thing is when we go before the judge, they put us in a mediation room alone.
Right.
And so we're like face to face. That's just the worst. But yeah, I took him to court and he was so wrong. The judge was like, what?
Good for you.
Yeah. And so that's when I kind of learned, I think I have a voice.
You do.
I think that I have a voice. I know that there are some technicians that are trying to form a union.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope that works.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are some techs that are forming a union, and I know they've faced some challenges, but I think that that is such a powerful and important, unbelievably important thing for techs to be able to unionize, to be able to protect themselves. And, I mean, you dealt with some things that are above and beyond what I have ever in my life. I mean, it was another time. It was another time.
It seems normal.
It seemed normal at the time.
Because I had known nothing else.
Right, right. And it's so easy for someone in the position that you have been in to end up being taken advantage of like that. Because, like, you're in it for the love, like the pure love. Like, no one becomes a vet tech to become rich. Never. Like, that's not why anyone does it. And
I tried making it on my own, on a vet tech salary. It was a joke. I was so in debt that I just had to borrow money from my folks. Thank goodness for my folks.
yeah.
And these credit card checks.
Thank goodness that is credit card checks. But it's really crazy, like how vulnerable people in your position are. Not only, all over the world in a variety of ways, but in the veterinary industry, it can be really nasty. And I think as a vet tech, you're exposed to things that are just like off the freaking wall, and you don't have the leverage to put your foot down, or you don't have necessarily the sense of people think they don't have a voice. And I love that you said that. You have a voice. Of course, you have an incredible voice and an ethical voice and a voice that stands up for the right thing and for the animals.
Well, now that
Love that.
I don't have anything to lose,
Right.
I feel like I can let it all out. But I am married to a medical director. And the veterinary world is so, especially in California, I mean, it is so small. You can't go into a hospital without knowing at least somebody that knows somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So my voice is kind of, I can't burn every single bridge that I would love to. I mean, I with Bill's Hospital because I haven't worked there. And from when I hear from his texts, things are fine.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of burning bridges, you and I have a common bond and a common trauma, which is that we worked at the same specialty hospital as where I did my surgical residency and you were a tech working for the surgery department. I would love if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit. We've talked a little bit about PTSD just before we started recording. If you would feel comfortable talking to me a little bit about your experience with PTSD from that and, from a variety of other things that happened to you. I would love to just sort of hear your story a little bit because I think PTSD is, either whether it's, secondary PTSD, primary PTSD, or, there's a million versions of PTSD out there. Whatever it is, it's real. And I know you had mentioned just before we started recording also that you had a hard time feeling validated that your experiences were real. Can you delve into that a little bit?
well, I started working as a temp and doing overnights.
Mhm.
And the first night that I was there was not one person. It was their holiday party. And every single person was gone. And the back door was unlocked. And so I walk in the hospital. I've never, ever, ever been there. And no one left me instructions. I had no idea who needed what, nothing.
Mm.
And so that was my first night there. And I just remember thinking, is the right hand talking to the left hand here? I don't understand what's going on. But then in the morning, a really, really, really lovely technician came in and she said, what? We didn't leave you with anything. She was, so, so nice. And so I thought, oh, maybe I would like it here. Are you hiring? And they were. And so I got the position. And immediately, the first thing that we were told is there is no fraternizing with the veterinarians. We were not allowed in their pods. We were not allowed to see them socially.
Mm.
We were not allowed to have dinner with them at lunch. I was written up for bringing one of the surgeon's donuts. It was one of his first back surgeries.
Aw.
And he was bawling.
Oh.
He got stuck. And I didn't know how to make him feel better. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at this open spine. Right. And I, kind of patting his tears. And I wrote him a little card, it's okay, you did great. But I mean, he was terrified. And I kept asking him, do you want me to get help? And he said, oh, no, 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 no. I mean, everybody was so afraid of everyone there. And it was mostly dominant females there. All of the doctors were females. And so this one man, he ended up moving to Canada. And that was the saddest day because he was the only man. He was the only normal one. So there was nothing ever spoken to me that wasn't so condescending. It was like I was beat up every single time I did anything. It wasn't, do you mind positioning the x ray? It was, are you stupid?
Yeah.
type of things.
Yeah.
And one of the, I think she was an intern, she was battling cancer at the time. And I had walked into the pod where the doctors were, and they just finished crying. And I said, you have a room. And do you not see that we're crying? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. And just slamming doors. And the two women that were the main, I don't want to say they were owners, because I came in right when the main owner, he had kind of long hair and he had feathers in his hair, and he would walk around in flip flops, and he was just, you know, incense and just keeping away from the oxygen, and, you know, tons of plants, and had this, have you ever seen Baby Mama when, Steve, he was like, be the essence of the shell. He was just so like, you know, why we all fell in love with veterinary medicine. And then one day he got uninvited to the board meeting and got pushed out. And months before that, a veterinarian had killed himself. And I brought that up and was written at for bringing that up, because we don't talk about suicide. And that he was the coolest guy. He was always wearing bands. He would carry his skateboard. I mean, I think that they just beat his soul down.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, of course, you can't blame suicide on anybody, but that was the first time that I started seeing, wow, we're getting rid of all of the love here. And so I started myself to become kind of a stone. And I was there for, I don't know, almost a year. And Bill and I got married, and I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I looked like I had 14 kids in me. I, I mean, I went so big that it was a joke. And so I couldn't be in the back near the gas
Right.
and the x-ray. So all I did was room patients. And one day I was so big. I was, taking temps, and I was trying to roll up off of the floor. And even the clients were like, can you file folders or do something up front? And it was the biggest I had been. And one of the surgeons said, my Great Dane has diarrhea in the parking lot, but I'm not sure where. Can you go clean that up for me? And then walked away. And I just thought, I can't even bend over.
Oh my God.
And then I was looking at pictures of my sonogram, and one of the surgeons walked by and said, God, I fucking hate kids. Nobody wants to see these pictures. And I thought, okay. And we were all terrified. We were all terrified. And I decided I was going to go on maternity leave. And so I took maternity leave, and then I never, ever, ever went back. And I was like, I'm having nightmares, like a lot of nightmares, really, really bad nightmares.
Yeah. And so after you left, even you continued to have nightmares, and
For years.
Same.
For years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is how traumatic it was. It was just a constant affirmation of you are shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I recognize that.
Because nothing you do is right, and you are shit.
Right.
And then, I kept in contact with some of the techs, and they were telling me just how unbelievably poisonous it was. Why is it such a toxic environment? Why? I mean, do you have any theories? Because I have saw and saw and saw and saw. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was teach at a community college and really get people hyped up to be a vet tech or an assistant. And in good, I can't do it. You're going to be poor your whole life. You're,
Yeah.
I just, do you have any ideas of why this is?
I mean, there's a few theories that I have and that I've discussed with other colleagues that in the world of surgeons, there's this sort of like taking from almost the human. I know this sounds kind of like weird and stuff, but there's the patriarchy, and that doesn't mean that it has to be men carrying it out. Women can carry out the patriarchy, as you know. And there's this sort of culture of training by humiliating people, making them better, quote unquote, by humiliating them and by asserting your dominance and authority by putting other people down. It's like classic bully technique. And the thing is, it works. It's just wrong.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's already assumed, like you're walking into a hospital, there goes assistant, tech, RVT, and then the end all and say all. I mean, you don't do a thing until you're given the plan. I mean, I thought that was just already assumed. In my case, when I was yelled at and belittled, I made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
when somebody would ask you, like, what's 49 times 26?
You phrase that.
Phil would be like, oh, it's 4,000 and God. But I would freeze and
Right.
my performance would go down.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with you on that big time, actually. When I say it works, it gives people authority and power, and it makes them, no one's going to doubt them when they're deeply insecure. And there's many reasons for a surgeon to feel deeply insecure. Like, it's scary work,
Sure.
right? And I think that not only that the work itself, like, can make you feel like you need to put other people down to build yourself up, but it might even be that some surgeons are attracted to that work because they already are narcissists, or they already are power hungry, or they already have to be seen as the most amazing person on the planet, and anything less than that is unacceptable to them. So I think that's part of it, but
That's true.
and I agree with you very much that when you shame someone, you put them on the spot, you're not bringing out the best in them. But I don't think that's really what they're trying to do. They're saying that's what they're trying to do, but it's not. I think it's a lie.
Would you ever consider bringing these women on your podcast?
Of course. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would like some answers.
I'd like some fucking answers myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like the nasty women, that kind of thing. That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
I would love to ask a few questions. Because at this point, I think that Bill is established enough where it's not like he's going to lose his
He's a
credibility.
little bit immune at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By proxy, I think you are as well. Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a great idea, actually, to go ahead and,
It might be
you're
therapeutic.
the enemy. What are you thinking? What's wrong with you?
I do.
Right?
I would love to just start out nice and say, hey, do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. This was the clincher. Oh my gosh. One day we would get a piece of paper and the veterinarians would have to fill out everything, pre-med, post-op, everything. And this particular surgeon that I was assigned to that day didn't do it. So when she showed up, nothing was set up. And it wasn't my fault. I had no idea. And the records on the computer were so vague. I mean, I tried as hard as I could. And she was yelling at me right here, face to face, and she is spitting in my face.
Oh,
And this is by far the most unprofessional I have ever been in my life. And I am ashamed of this. But if it had put the animal in danger, I definitely would have changed. But throughout the entire surgery, I wouldn't speak to her. And so she was asking me, "How is this?" And I would just look up at her.
I mean, that's a sign of trauma too. Like you can't even talk to the person because you're so not okay. You're even just
She got done with that surgery, ripped her gown off, and threw it, tossed it in my face.
Mm.
And I mean, my write-up pile was probably this big. I mean, I'm not an insubordinate person. I had enough.
your limit. Yeah, as
I
as
said,
any human would. Right.
yeah.
In your face, talking to you an inch away from your face. Come on. Nobody needs to listen to that. Nobody.
So, actually, this is the first time that
Yeah. Yeah. Girl, I got you. I know.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. It's real. It's real. And I'm right there with you. I broke down on the phone with Bill when I spoke to him for the first time in a few years. Still, yeah, it's powerful. And I know exactly.
It's the first time I thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been like 15 years.
Yeah. Things come back. That's PTSD. That's what it is. It's still in you. I'm right there with you, my friend.
I mean, I don't I don't know how to make things better.
Mhm.
How can we improve this? This is not getting any better. What's the answer?
Yeah. Yeah. For me personally, it's what I do now, which is that I do it myself. And I'm in a little bit of a different position than you are being a vet. And I think for me it's been to do it myself. Never let any of these fuckers touch me again. That's why I do what I do.
Well, so I got out of mobile and then I got out of the clinic and then I started doing SEMA.
Mhm.
And the rescue people are all surgeons. Well, they're not, but they act like that they're just,
Savior complex?
I mean, so the PETA Humane Society starter kit or the big spreader earrings and then the vegan tattoo. And I mean, they're all kind of the same. And some of them are nice, but I don't know, maybe they're afraid that I'm going to overstep and take their jobs, or I don't know, but I'm just there trying to get an animal out of a horrible situation. I've seen some just like, how are you still alive?
Yeah.
Situations. And earlier I was telling you, I was trying to think of good things, and I have done a lot of really good things for animals.
Have. Yeah, you
I
have.
have. I have. And I just have to remember that. I had a mentor tell me it was when I just was so overwhelmed with how many animals needed to be taken care of. It's kind of like a saying of animal rescue is like emptying the ocean one teaspoon at a time.
Yeah.
And he said, you're thinking about these millions and millions of animals, but you need to, you matter to the one right in front of you.
Mhm.
Right. You're helping right now. And he just said that one thing. And I looked at every animal from then on and said, I'm all you got. So I'm going to treat you like gold. And that's just how I made it through.
That's amazing. Karen, thank you so much for sharing your stories and that wisdom and that beautiful, like to that animal, you're their everything. And I think that's it right there. That's it. And I mean, there's obviously more to it. There's more work for you to do, more work for me to do, and for all of us to do to make this better. But I love what you said. I love your heart and soul and how much you
I love yours. I just like stop the fighting. I mean, we all grew up wanting to help animals. Where did that go wrong?
I know. I know it. I know it. Well, we have some work ahead of us. We have conversations ahead of us. And I'm so thankful for you being on the show today. And
I'm so, so grateful and so, so honored. So honored. Thank you so, so much.
amazing. And I will talk to you very soon.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for House Call Vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.
If you're looking for help with ultrasound scanning, check out First Opinion Veterinary Ultrasound for independent machine reviews and online and in-person teaching options. FOVU, simplifying ultrasound.